Alrighty, welcome back to another episode of The 12, our epic campaign of discovery and adventure across the continent of Corvair. This story streams live Sundays at 6 p.m. Central here on Javelin Entertainment. And if you missed the last one, you can check it out on the channel page or by clicking on the link down in the description.
Last time, Jasira and Boko had gone into Regalport, followed closely by Roland, when Roland had spotted his brother Eirik and reverse pickpocketed a creepy talisman, but found a strange object within as well. While deciphering the origin of the metallic piece, he was struck by a shadowy figure who was revealed to be his sister Thora. Her eyes had caught him nearby, and she warned him to keep a distance, but both seemed somewhat pleased to see the other. Roland vowed to find her again one day before following after Boko. Boko and Jasira had followed the Gilded Man into the darker portions of the city towards some sort of crystal mine. Boko was accosted by some strange individuals who were mechanically enhanced. Despite taking a beating and having his prosthetics disabled, Boko was able to use his magic to cause one individual to flee, and the backup from Jasira and Roland ended the life of another. Jasira and Roland chased after the one who had fled, following him into the mines, where there was a strange laboratory of some sort, with giant glass tubes filled with green liquid and dark silhouettes. Meanwhile, Boko looked over the dwarf's body, removing the mechanisms that he could, but still more interested in what lied within the conjoined mechanisms and flesh. After some convincing, they maneuvered the dwarf body back through the city into the docks. Cade and Clyde were appalled, though not surprised, to find the three miscreants towing the body back. After more discussion, they were finally assisted in pulling themselves and the body back into the ship. What are Boko's plans with the body? What were the strange operations occurring at the mine? Will Boko ever be able to explain this all to Cade? Let's tune in and find out.
So as you all have been pulled back up into this cabin, finally dumping out the shrunken body onto the floor where it's soggy, all of you are kind of dripping onto the carpet here as Cade and Clyde, Sindri and Thashalt kind of look on in confusion. What are you guys doing?
Oh, that seems about right. Unfortunately.
So now that we can actually talk, do you want to explain the little body to us, or is it just gonna be with us for now?
I think we all collectively look at Boko.
Pretty well, yeah. Jasira's kind of like,
Boko would probably address Cade in his explanation to everybody, and he would say, "First, I must thank you for assisting me in getting this on board, and I do have to say, if you are severely upset with me, once I finish, you may do what you wish, whether that be to throw me overboard or whatever you see fit. But there is a reason I saw to bring this aboard, and it is something that I hope you will understand. You see, I am new to this world that all of you call home. It is something I am very unfamiliar with. I come from a place that is quite a ways outside of Carlacton. It is a place I believe your people call the Mournlands. And outside of my home were the only people I had ever known. It was a small village of people who came to me for help. Some of them only used my help for emergencies. Most of them did not even like me, but these people were all I had. And they were all killed in front of me by the man who showed me how to do this. And Boko will raise up his arm and for the first time pull back the vines entirely, all the way back to the base, revealing the organics within, which are essentially metal fused with bone. The joints themselves are whirring gears and mechanisms that articulate similar to how a human arm would, but not exactly. And Boko will say, As far as I understand, there is only one person who can fuse metal and flesh together like this. It is the thing that taught me how to do it. And if this dwarf understands how to do it, there is a chance that the man who killed that village was the one who showed him how to do it. The man, and he turns to Roland, who can breathe dragon's fire. The man, and Boko will start unwrapping the other arm that is always covered in bandages, and he will show the mark on his hand. Who gave me these? And embedded into the flesh in his arm is a brand. I think I have a picture of it that I can share. Unless you have one on hand, Austin.
I can find it if you don't have it.
Please.
All right, give me a moment. I thought I knew where it was.
Oh, I think I found it.
Okay, I did. Did you find it? Did you want to post it? If not, I think I've got it too.
So I got it. So I
All right.
posted it in the Discord so you guys can see.
Oh, cool. Chaos Undivided.
I think Roland
sweet.
would be able to identify this symbol. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he would be able to identify it immediately.
Roland, you can make a religion check if you would like.
Absolutely, I would love to. I'll throw some guidance on that as I lean in to take a look.
Sprinkle of guidance.
And I roll a 4 for a total of 12.
You have inspiration.
Clyde's been in the Mournlands. Would he have ever seen any of this symbol?
I do have inspiration. I'm gonna roll again.
I'll
Or
let you
would
make
that have-
a religion check as well.
Okay. I don't have a brave religion. That's my
Fastest use of inspiration any session yet, I think.
That was
Used it on
pretty
the
fucking
first
good.
roll.
That's a good.
Clyde, you look at this symbol kind of first as Roland is kind of preparing to go in, and nothing quite strikes you. You know that it's certainly not an obvious symbol of one of the main, I guess, factions or governments across the continent. And you also know it's not one of the main religious organizations, such as the Sovereign Host.
Okay.
And it's strange. The pattern is very angular, and it. Go ahead and also roll me a d20, Clyde.
Okay.
Actually, specifically, we'll do a insight for this.
Okay.
Oh, was there two that came in?
Yeah, I clicked it twice. Go with the first one.
Okay. What's? Do you have any bonus
shit.
on insight?
No, go with the second one.
Yeah, it's a +2, so it's a 5.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So there's something strange about this symbol, but you can't quite put any piece of familiarity to it. Roland, as you're kind of looking across it, it at first kind of evokes this idea of magic, and kind of the way that Boko is talking about it. You kind of think through different options of magic and what would be relevant to something like dragonfire or fire or pyromancy. But then it kind of hits you of what Boko has been doing with the blood magic. And you think back to this small section of a book long forgotten that you had kind of stolen away from one of the captured vessels had numerous novels and books that were kind of confiscated by some of the elders, and this one in particular was one that had been kind of locked away, that you had to press your early roguish muscles to get a hold of.
Liberate.
And there was a lot of different information within the book, but the one pertaining to this symbol was a relatively short chapter about a religious organization that had been growing in popularity across the nation of Karnath, and had been seeing particular focus in the city of Atur, Atur. And it was there that these priests were worshiping their own kind of divinity within themselves. This organization that had been focusing on the power within one's body. Predominantly a human religion, though there were some elves and others from Karnath. But it focused on that divinity that lied within all mortals, and kind of devoting yourself to the figurative and the literal meaning of blood. And as you kind of think more about this, there is this extra history that's on there. Karnath has been always this, has had history with undeath, and has had this air of necromancy around it, and some of it recently within the last war was related to the necromancers that had been brought up through this religious organization, that were supposedly empowered beyond what normal individuals would be in the realm of necromancy. And specifically, there are the groups called the Seekers of the Divinity Within, who were kind of like the core of this religious organization that worshipped the individual. And this larger religious organization is known as the Blood of Vol. And if you'd like to roll me a history check as well on that.
Hey, well, while he's doing that, Austin, out of curiosity, are one or both of those diametrically opposed to me in the academic field? Since they're Karnath-based necromancers.
I assume you're sharing this, Roland?
Holy balls. 6.
Oh, I guess that's a good point. I might not actually know. Well, that's why I asked, in case I knew what either of the symbols would have been,
So
or if one of them is the brand.
You wouldn't know this. Well, I guess we'll see. I doubt you'll get a roll. We'll see. Okay, about the same. So Roland kind of, with a few details here and there, and Clyde, upon seeing this symbol, there is a history around these individuals, and Thishalt, you're able to kind of piece together how this organization had kind of been pushing and had been kind of at the front of necromancy, and with your connection of them, you kind of have these suspicions that they've been kind of manipulating things behind the scenes to make sure that necromancy stays in power. But Roland, you in that chapter, kind of in the footnotes, was a theory around this word of Vol. And the author had done an investigation into the history and the taxonomy of the word, and believed it to be some sort of name, and a name that was from an ancient elven clan.
Boko, I don't know what that symbol really is, but I know the Mournlands, they take just about everything they can, and those that get out, the scars run deep. So I understand you need to take care of this. I help you how I can. Though, maybe next time don't bring the dead dwarf to the ship we're hanging out at.
If there was another way, I could have completed this without bringing it here and putting all of you at risk. I would have taken it in an instant.
Alright.
Just make it quick, do what you need to do, and get that thing out of here.
Understood. Jasira, an explanation I owe you. The village I was speaking of, that I asked you to accompany me to. It was the village where all of those people were slaughtered. Sorry, I didn't.
I understand. No, it's okay. I understand. That's heavy.
The child that I asked the Crimson Woman about is the last remaining person from that village. The only other person who currently carries a prosthetic built by my hands.
Do you need help? I'm good with a knife.
And I'll assist as I can,
Please.
whatever that is.
I ain't good with the knife, but I do have some experience on the other side if you want me to talk you through how he might have felt.
Any assistance will be welcomed. I seek to do my best to pull back the flesh and take a good look at the mechanisms within. Roland, when you first saw me, I was in the temple. The Temple of Artifice in Carlacton, you recall, yes?
Vividly.
They took something from me. An item. I am looking for something similar within this body. It is a disease of some kind. I do not know anything about it, and I was hoping that some of you would, but it is a disease that spreads amongst the mechanisms when they are exposed to this kind of magic. I have no knowledge of how it works. I have simply taken to calling it the clean rot.
Should you...
Maybe they should roll and do it?
Yeah, given your own mechanism, should you take a more supervisory role in this then?
No. This is something I carry with me consistently. Something I fight back. It is why you always see me doing maintenance and replacing parts.
Alright. That's gotta be rough. You gotta replace yourself so often.
Other artificers replace parts because of wear and tear, mechanical stress. This is simply one of the dangers of working with organics.
Okay.
Boko's gonna whip out the tools.
And you do have
Oh, no, put that away.
I said tools.
I know.
Plural.
I'm
want you to
real.
know.
No,
Weird enough, it might be
really
bifurcated.
worried now.
You can pull out a random extra appendage whenever you want.
Exactly. It's another tiny hand to help.
You already had a fake third leg earlier.
You guys have already seen Boko naked, by the way.
He could have added it in the interim.
Roland, I have taken inspiration from you and I have equipped myself with a scope. Unfortunately, I have missed everything I have aimed at.
Oh,
I taken you to the orgy. You would have hit something there.
Anyways,
Caught something too.
Another infection.
Would have gotten a different kind of disease, but...
I have a brand new feat I would like to leverage.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
As I take a look at this. Now, with Boko's solitary history, I don't know if I would necessarily know the craftsman by name, but perhaps the crafting style.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll just post this.
Okay. Okay. So, Boko, as you begin your examination and begin to look over this individual, kind of removing off the coat that he has, you can see that it is just a piece over the stomach portion. The upper chest is kind of clear, and it's right where those ribs kind of meet the bottom of the chest, where that golden metal begins to kind of fuse together, and it looks somewhat different. What's very apparent here is that this is not fused in the way that yours is. It has a seam, and that seam is clean and medically applied, but it is not grown together. And you're looking down further, the metal is a softer, pliable gold. And it is ribbed and kind of molded to almost look like ribs, but there's also these pieces. Most notably is these two nozzles where the pipes had come out of that you had kind of severed. But there's also some other kind of detailing across the chest piece that almost looks to be ornate. Immediately you kind of tie it to the gold that was present throughout the city. And again, that bluish color that you had seen is the same as those small blue crystals that you had found in the bag on this individual. And you know that somehow this contraption, or a part of it, it functioned where it had some sort of charging, and then it disabled the mechanical portions of your persona. What becomes clear is that this does deviate from your own physical appearance, and either if it is related to the individual that you know, then they had to have adapted or changed their style. Otherwise, it would be it's from another individual entirely. It's that drastically different. It's similar in that it's metal fused with the body, but in almost every other way, it seems different in its materials and its application and in its functionality.
Whereas the medicine man taught me more of an integration. This seems almost more like an interface.
Yeah. This is like a bionic enhancement.
Gotcha. Boko would probably be pretty deflated after that. But, while we have him here, we're going to try to strip and salvage this. See if we can pull it apart.
Are you looking to just get the raw materials, or are you looking to preserve the functionality?
If there's a way to preserve the functionality of this mechanical device, he will do his best. But if it's not looking like it's possible, then he'll start cutting large pieces to use as stuff for other projects.
All right, then start out.
If you didn't need all of it, then I'd take some.
You want to integrate some ex-dwarf into your steam suit?
Looking for more metal, less dwarf. He can keep all the dwarf.
So, Boko, if you want to start out with a medicine check and then do a Tinker's Tools for me.
And you do have Bardic Inspiration, so one of them is real shitty.
Let's probably run it on this medicine just to be safe. Ooh, I should not have advantage on that.
Okay.
What's the size of the inspiration?
D8.
Well, we are also assisting.
So maybe
carving where you direct and holding things and.
Sorry, I thought that's why he rolled at advantage.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. That's 17.
Yep.
All right. So working through this and kind of cleaning off the flesh portion of this interface, it is intricate and detailed. And the more that you work away at this, the more that you find that it had a portion where it was fused, but it was internally. And there are parts of these that almost seem where the metal has kind of melted onto bone or flesh, and it is extremely difficult to untangle. And there are pieces that seem to be working with organs or enhancing organs within the body or utilizing them, and they're tricky and confusing and kind of working around them. You see this connected interface that is layered. Go ahead and roll me that Tinker's check. Still at advantage.
Okay.
So working with this, it's difficult, and you haven't gotten everything. There are pieces of this that you didn't even realize were nested within there, and by the time you had kind of revealed enough to see how they were connected, they had already been kind of falling apart and kind of loosed, and you're trying to piece things back together, and you get at least this interface salvaged where the nozzles were for the tubes, where you may be able to apply them onto something once you kind of get a better understanding of how they work. But the core kind of structure of the chest, whatever it was doing to the body itself, you don't preserve enough of it to be able to have it still function, but you can still get all of the you still have all of the gold that you're able to salvage and utilize.
Perfect. So now that I've gotten a little bit deeper into this and seeing how there is some sort of partial integration here, does it seem like this is just sort of slapped together, or is it more of like a bastardized form of what I've been taught? Or is this just like a slap job?
We'll do Arcana for this.
Okay. Let's go. Wow.
So observing this, you can tell that it is very different than what you do, for sure. But it is no less detail oriented, and it would take a skilled craftsman to make this. It would take an even more skilled craftsman to apply it to someone without killing them or severely injuring their internal organs. This is likely done by a team of individuals and has been studied and refined and perfected. And what's strange and what kind of jumps out at you is that this individual didn't appear to be of high status. They appeared relatively thuggish in many regards, but have this what seems to be incredibly complex and expensive piece of hardware integrated into their body.
And then the last thing I think I would look for is in this, looking at all the interfaces between the mechanism and the organics, is there any sign of the clean rot?
You keep a careful eye the entire time, and you don't see any of these golden mechanisms that is altered in any way that looks familiar.
Okay.
As Boko is moving through this, is anyone else doing anything or responding to anything? I know Clyde and Roland are kind of helping out, and Cade getting at least a partial explanation here. But is there any other responses to what's going on here?
I mean, I guess I'd probably help with the mechanical piece as much as possible.
Okay.
Jasira's mostly observing.
Clyde's gonna toss off the organic parts when Boko's done with them. Not all at once, just like half a leg here, then wait 10 minutes, toss the hand out.
Baldur's Gate inventory, severed leg, severed hand.
Oh my god,
severed head.
Don't even with me. Don't.
It's much less conspicuous, though.
Hey, here's a question for you that I actually might be pondering. Do I know anything about the Mournlands? Like, just even the most basics of like, it's bad. There's necromancy, bad stuff there.
Clyde will tell you it's bad. It's real bad. No good.
Yeah. Thishol,
that's
there
no
is
good.
a lot of history around the Mournland, and especially Karnath being a neighbor. There is.
Right, that's why I was wondering.
It is essentially seen as a dead zone, where a ghost land, where specters walk and ghost stories are told, and everyone is told to avoid. However, over the last few years, decade or so, that narrative has been rumored to be changing, and there are whispers of people who have been taking trips into this the dead gray mist and surviving, and coming back and selling things that they had reclaimed. And there are actually businesses that are starting to pop up that are salvage companies dedicated entirely to going and pulling these old relics from the nation of Sire, which was consumed by this mist to form the Mournland. And Sire was probably the most wealthy and the most technologically advanced before the end of the last war. And so the artifacts that are being found are extremely valuable. And beyond that, the cultural impact is extremely valuable. And so there is a lot of attention on Karnath right now, or on the Mournland right now from Karnath and from other countries around it. And so there is a lot of whispers, a lot of rumors going around. And still to this day, people don't really know what happened and what occurred within Sire to cause it to be consumed in the course of a day. But the Day of Mourning is observed every year around the continent by people wishing to pay their respects for the millions of people that lost their lives.
Alright. And then well, no, there's probably no direct connection to it and anything political in Karnath. At least not to the level I probably know, maybe.
There were politics decades ago, during the last war.
Yeah.
But since then, it's kind of fallen off as it is there are no individuals, there's no governance there. And so there's no point in, containing, any sort of politics with whatever is going on there. And so for the most part, it has been kind of faded out from a lot of public opinion until recently, as people have started to look into it more, with the rumors that it is possibly inhabitable.
So no political value, but lots of market value. I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, but real
New
dangerous
steam pyramid.
too.
Perfect place for Boko to be from.
Makes perfect sense. Knew there was something about you that was a bit off. Makes sense.
A bit?
But yeah, over the course of a few hours, Boko is able to kind of pull off the materials and clean them off, and Clyde has disposed of the pieces of the body. There is definitely a area that has to be prestidigitated away and cleaned and smelled, but eventually it does kind of disperse. Boko and Clyde, I will say, as you were kind of taking care of the body, one thing that you did notice is that the body was had quite a few tattoos, but there was one that was kind of clearly prominent on the hand, that of kind of this mermaid-like creature. It had kind of like a fish tail and these horns, but it was very, very prominent and placed in a point where it seemed to be a focal.
Just to clarify, is Clyde just chucking the pieces out the window? Like,
Yeah, every now and then he's tossing another piece out, letting.
no,
chumming
Cade
along.
would stop you.
They're
Clyde-
going for a fish outside. Aw.
We can't just chuck that out the window. We are way too close to shore. Those things are going to wash up.
You're at the dock.
I'm sure it'll
Yeah.
be fine.
As Clyde goes to throw it out the window, Cade stops him.
Okay.
You want to hang out with the body? It's gonna start smelling.
No, I don't particularly want to hang out with the body. I didn't want to bring it on board, but we also can't chuck it out the window while we're docked.
I don't know. The hand seemed pretty good down there.
I mean, can we just eat it?
What?
No, what?
Isn't that a good way to
It does solve the problem in a way.
It creates a lot of other problems.
I'm not eating it, though.
What problem?
Yeah, I gotta say, I don't think my
I guess it's
morality is gonna
starting-
stand for that one.
I guess it is starting to rot a little already, but I mean, if we cook it well enough, that shouldn't be a problem.
Sindri, topside, we don't generally eat things of the same species as ourselves.
Often.
You're dwarves?
Looks around. I said, looks around. I don't see no dwarves.
Nicholas, you've lost this argument before.
Sindri, let me ask you this. Do stone giants, out of curiosity, do they eat drow if you find them dead in the Underdark?
I mean, that doesn't happen very often, but I mean, I don't see why we wouldn't.
Gross.
Chaotic neutral is not an excuse for cannibalism.
It's a
No.
Or
In
for
certain
taking heads as
circumstances,
trophies
it's
and
fine.
flaying your enemies just because they were tieflings and you're a tiefling.
I gotta
and
say,
they're human.
this is sounding scarily familiar. I just can't put my finger on it.
No!
Sometimes you just have to eat what comes around. I played a character that understood that very well.
There's not a lot of food in the Underdark. Being picky gets you dead.
Being in the Underdark gets you dead.
Just make some Soylent Green.
Yes.
Okay,
Delicious and
I thought you said the Underdark was nice!
It is, but when you're traveling, sometimes it's hard to find food. And things try to kill you, and so two problems can be solved at the same time of defending yourself and food location.
I have
Okay,
several
let me-
contradictory questions, but I'll hold off.
Let me amend my statement, Sindri. Up here, we don't generally eat
Things that can talk.
sentient beings.
Although if you're hungry, you're welcome to have the scraps.
Bits and pieces, and there's an organ pile. Also, even if we did want to eat it, we don't have a good way to cook it.
I really don't like the conversation that we started having. I much preferred when I was just chucking him out the window.
Yes, that's the issue. This apartment doesn't allow hot plates. That's why we can't eat the dwarf.
We just can't chuck him now. We just need to get out at sea again.
Yes, but there's also the problem of our visitor.
Oh, she'll be fine.
Is there any way to stash him in a corner and make him smell like flowers?
I wish
Just
we
a
hadn't
thought.
tossed the barrel. Sure, you can put him in Sindri's corner.
I hardly think that's fair. If it's gonna go in anyone's corner, it's Boko's.
He might get hungry.
I do have to re-up my chimera, so maybe I should use some of this for a ritual.
Okay.
Respectful?
Well, we could put it in a bag and then weigh it down and then take it a little bit out into the harbor and just leave it at the bottom.
I know of people who have been disposed of that way.
It should be a little while before the bindings come loose, and then they'll find him on shore after we're long gone.
We'll eat him. Have you seen the size of the fish around these parts?
you put some cement shoes on him, there won't be anything left.
Also, larger fish like that don't come to the harbor, but, you know.
But
okay.
does.
Yeah. Okay, back to the. Should we. How much longer do you think our companion will be gone for?
A portal appears.
She said a couple hours, didn't she? So we have what?
Yeah,
Probably hardly any time left.
she said a few hours up to a day.
Up to a day. Okay.
She knows we were following. She has to know.
Yeah, probably.
I can take the body and tie it down at the bottom of the harbor.
I love how we all go out and do shit, and then Cade just goes, and then cleans up.
She's big sister.
She knows how to.
I feel like I'm back and forth on this.
She's had a lot of experience properly executing crime.
I mean,
The cleanup, you know? Doesn't matter.
not leaving evidence behind is very important. Okay, it's fine. What do we have that's heavy, that's not Sindri?
I mean, I guess I have my steam equipment, but we're not going to weigh it down with that.
There's also like
Anyone?
chests and barrels and globes and bones in here. Like there's a lot of stuff that
if
you
we
could
have a
use.
barrel, let's just stuff it into a barrel and tie the barrel at the bottom. Fill that barrel with sand. Move on with our lives.
Still have to get that barrel out of the window, though.
He's not a person anymore. We can stuff him into a smaller sized container.
I think
I thought he was a dwarf.
I think we should.
Dwarves
wait
are
until
people sometimes.
We set sail and just
Not
spread him
gnomes.
out amongst the waves.
All right, I'll take the fishing pole out.
Burial at
Deliver.
sea.
Try to catch some fish.
I mean, according to the rules, you keep what you kill. So technically, this body is Jasira's.
DM, how bad does it smell in here right now?
It's
Clyde-
got prestidigitized.
Yeah, Clyde has been pretty regularly perfuming the body with prestidigitation. So currently it's passable. It's also a ship, and so there was a bit of a rank sea smell anyway.
Okay.
Pretty sure Jasira gave the body to Boko. She got her part. She wanted the soul.
Let's just put it in a bag, put it in a chest, and we'll throw it out at sea when we leave.
Oh, we're gonna forget, and some poor sailor's gonna open this up.
How poor and
that'd be
innocent are
amazing.
they really?
They're sailors, so.
Yeah, we don't know what they've done.
Hey, my dad was a sailor. You right.
You said he took your eye, but you know, I guess that makes
that was
sense.
his brother.
IRL, my dad was a sailor. He was in the Navy.
Bro. Many levels.
I'm gonna just take one of the other dwarven hand that's mostly flesh and just start a ritual to turn it into a chimera. Need to re-up the chimera.
Yeah, if he keeps up with this, we won't have much put in the bag.
Just
Thinking.
please, DM, whenever he uses this chimera, let the effect happen, but be shorter.
Oh my god.
I'm already limping around because my prosthetic's longer than my regular leg.
It'll shrink your other leg even more.
Yeah, and Boko, you're finally starting to get movement all back into your or full movement back into all of the pieces. After working through this, it had been kind of slow, and everything had kind of, you've had to push harder, and it's like responds slower, but finally it's back to normal now. But yeah, as you begin to go through this ritual and begin to use your magic and warp some of the flesh and organic material away into this more amorphous type creature, leaving just some of the bone and blood behind.
Boko looks at Roland. Is he watching?
He's watching in the way of like the gentleman who has turned around while the lady is changing, but is still
Watching in the fact that this is a small room that we're all in, and you're doing this in his vicinity.
He's
this is also Roland we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it depends. Are you on his left or right side?
I was literally about to say he's only looking at you over his right shoulder, though.
And then once that's all finished, Boko will just say, I have gotten what I need from this. Oh. If you think it is fit to cut my throat and throw me overboard, now is a good time.
I draw a dagger and hand it to Cade.
Wait. That'd be two bodies. We ain't got done finishing this. Wait till we get this one gone, then we'll worry about getting rid of Boko.
Sound logic.
Cade's sitting by the window, just kind of like staring out and just kind of vaguely just like looking at the outside and also just keeping an eye on the docks for anyone coming or going.
Watching the hand float in the waves just out of reach that had already gotten tossed out.
You didn't scan for fingerprints, did you?
Cade will kind of just give Boko a side eye. No one else needs to die. I'm tired. I'm hurt. And at this point, not at all surprised by your selfishness. Stay inside, please. And she'll kind of just go back to looking out the window.
Boko will look at Jasira. The red woman, she has knitting needles made of some kind of bone. Perhaps we make our own from these. He gestures towards the dwarf bones.
I like that idea.
Clyde's getting himself the strongest drink he can after already drinking the strongest drinks they had.
But stronger.
Where did we leave your still? The natural 20 still?
On the ship?
It's back on ship.
No. They better have some good use out of that shit.
They're throwing ragers, man.
I'd say natural 20, like copper 10. Random bullshit go.
So as the day kind of wears on into the evening, the sun is kind of set and it's darkened inside the interior as there's just some candlelight now providing the glow. And the door to the cabin opens up for the very first time. And in strides the red-haired, red-dressed woman with her high heels kind of stepping in. And she immediately looks over and sees the kind of dissected body parts and just... Well,
hey, no. Those were put into a bag and put away into a trunk.
Did you put them into a chest already?
Clear.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Cade would not have left that in the open.
Me and Jasira may or may not be whittling bones into the
Yeah.
That one I did.
Trunk, pull out another bone.
But in all fairness, with how weird Boko and Jasira are, that seems totally normal.
Okay, so she strides in and kind of addresses you all, no matter who's actually paying attention. Well, my business is done here. We'll be on our way shortly. Feel free to make your way about the ship as you see fit. We'll be on the continent in a few days. Enjoy yourselves. She kind of blows a kiss before shutting the door behind her and striding back out. And the boat begins to move underway.
Yeah, Cade's gonna look at Boko and Jasira, primarily Boko. Since you two are the ones that left, you get to be on body disposal delivery. Wait until we're about half a day's out before starting to toss body parts out the window. Do it in infrequent and sporadic doses. And I was gonna walk out to go look at, explore the ship a bit.
Alright.
Doable.
One is sporadic, right? Infrequent and sporadic.
It's conveniently in a bag.
Cade's face when she hears that sack hit the water.
Man overboard!
She'll be up half the night anyway. That's the perfect time to dump body parts. We're
Don't
good.
worry, it's a dwarf. You can eat dwarves. It's not a man overboard.
Not no.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, Clyde would go with Cade if Cade's gonna go walk around the ship.
All right. So Cade and Clyde, you kind of stride out of the cabin, opening up the door and finding yourself on a fairly elegant ship. You see a few of the crew member kind of working around, and Anne is only a few paces ahead of you guys, kind of walking down the main deck as you kind of come out. And you had seen it before, but now it is kind of brilliant and in front of you. Across the sky is this beautiful gold and green, blues and purples that are just dazzling through in different shades across the night sky. And they are these beautiful lights that appear almost magical. But you guys are on the deck.
What kind of cabin crew do we have?
I was curious, are there a ton of people running about, or like
There-
4 strong dudes?
So it's a fairly large ship. So there's a crew of about 24 individuals that are kind of moving across efficiently. And Cade, you can instantly pick up that these are talented sailors and experienced sailors. And they are in, they don't seem to have any standardized like uniforms or colors denoting allegiance. So they seem to be just general experienced, either mercantile or transport sailors or something similar.
Okay. Do any of them pause on their work to give us a look?
Not really.
Okay.
I'm headed straight to the crow's nest.
Okay. You find it open and inviting.
It's a mimic. Don't trust it.
Feels weird to not have a cuckoo off to the side,
Yeah.
silently communicating.
A homicidal Kenku.
My favorite kind.
So we're free to
Yeah.
craft things now?
If you would
That was my
like.
question.
That's good to know.
Now, there's-
Even my armor, eyes.
so you could certainly work on pieces of it. There's no traditional forge here, but you're not limited on noise or. So
One more session.
well,
One more.
and it depends
If
on
we
what
don't
you're
know,
trying to do, because you guys, you don't have an armor that you're attaching it to, right? Noah, you are.
Sindri
Oh, shoot.
scrapped the armor and was carrying it, right?
Oh,
The
The generic guard armor from Dreadhold.
he had
He
his.
specifically took 2 sets to be able to have one and have one for Thashalt, I believe.
Oh yeah, and we said that it could have been in the bag of holding. Yeah, so it's fairly trivial to attach that to heavy armor. You could have done that before, if it's just attaching it.
Well, in that case, I'm gonna go ahead and attach it, and then time to go to work with thematically equipping my enhancements that I took recently.
All right.
Noah, looking over the last 42 sessions, did you have more sessions with your armor complete or without it?
I'm gonna abstain from that till I do the math.
We're still on a ship. It might be a detriment.
You know what? It'll be all right.
Famous last words.
It's worth the risk.
And Jasira and Boko, was there projects that you wanted to be crafting or beginning work on?
She's gonna ask about those knitting needles, low key, but if she can just assist Boko on whatever he's doing as like an extra set of hands or something.
What will my AC be once I'm done with this?
I think
because this is pretty basic heavy armor, if I remember correctly.
no, it's plate armor, so I think it should be 18 just from the armor.
Oh, neat. Well, all right, cool.
Hell yeah. I have the last touches on the third version of the soul canister and the dragon bone shield that I'd like to try to cut down to size.
If these sailors seem friendly or inviting at all, Clyde will try and talk some up to get just information of like what the ship is, what company they might work for,
materials for a new still.
Exactly. They got any nice copper pots that they no longer need.
They like booze, right?
Yeah. So you kind of carry on this just general conversation with the individuals, and they seem nice enough, but some of them are kind of focused on their work, and so it takes a little while to find a few of them, ending up kind of probably with like the cook or one of the other officers. And apparently they are with the, let's see, they're part of a trading company that kind of deals in multiple different goods, just called the Fuchsia Trading.
All right.
Fuchsia Trading. And you kind of talk to the cook, and he says that he's been on the ship for a few years, and it's made its way around the principalities, typically staying to the northwest side to try and avoid the pirates. It was kind of mentioning how he'll be happy to get back up north once the waters warm up. But just kind of casual conversation.
Clyde will ask if they've had a lot of problems with pirates.
Yeah, you know, it's here or there. I've been on a few ships that have been raided, but typically speaking, most of the, depending on what crew you end up with, they'll usually take you for every coin you've got, but rarely are there any casualties, outside of if there's a fight. Depending on what you're carrying, there might be more of a fight than others. The 2 times we've been raided, I've had the fortune of surviving the endeavor, not being stranded even. So it's better than I've heard others. But it's never a pleasant experience.
Well, then I'll be relieved to have you and the rest of your pals here on board. If anything should happen.
This is a fast enough ship that hopefully, with all the politics going on in the Isles, that the pirates will have bigger, more important things to worry about, and any typical small raider won't be able to keep up with us.
Here's hoping. It's a smooth sailing, and Clyde will get drunk with the cook, or attempt to get the cook drunk with him.
All right. And Cade, you were headed out onto the deck of the ship. Was there anything in particular that you were attempting to do?
No, in general, she's probably just going to just enjoy the fresh air until evening, and if anyone spots her, it'll look like she'll be writing on some parchment that she had found in the room that we were staying in. So she's like kind of casually like leaning on someplace out of the way, and she's writing something down.
Eventually you hear a voice from behind you, Cade. You look much more at ease outside of that stuffy cabin.
It's not that surprising. It's not that surprising. I don't imagine there's many people that like being confined below deck, except for Sindri.
I found the cabin fairly nice the few times I've traveled in it. Much better than some of the brigs that you could be tossed into anyway.
Oh, don't get me wrong. It was lovely. Still, being confined in one space with many people over multiple days.
Do
you need something?
Oh, I just got you something. And she kind of places a small wrapped parchment down on the rail beside you.
Does this gift come with a cost?
This one's free of charge. There's a pretty wide smile across her face.
Yeah, Cade seems really skeptical, but she'll pick the parchment up. Because curiosity?
A pound and kind of tearing off the brown paper around it. It's a small box. Kind of a wooden box with a clasp. You kind of...
Anything in here going to bite me, or curse me, or poison me?
Not in there, but I can do any of those if you ask kindly.
No thanks. And Cade will open it.
You flick open the latch and lift up the top, and inside there is a small wooden horse that's painted a bright pink. You asked for a pretty pink pony that could get you to the continent.
You see Cade like look down on it. She'll chuckle. It's probably the first time anyone's heard Cade laugh or smile in a couple days. Or actually probably since like before the whale stuff happened.
Since before this adventure?
Yeah. Sindri might have seen it once.
Before.
No, I mean, Cade would have been pretty laid back on the nice little small boat that she was sailing. Just saying. So we'll say, yeah. So Cade will kind of chuckle like, "Oh well, I guess you are pretty good at fulfilling wishes, aren't you?"
I'm no genie, but I have my talents. I don't know what
I will keep this pretty pink pony as a token, saying I've met you.
I don't know what happened to make you so jaded, Cade, but it's time to lighten up, move on to new things, and if there's anything that I can help you with in the future, please do let me know.
Life made me jaded, and particularly the last couple months.
Well, there's no reason to continue to look backwards then, if it's only negative. On to bigger, better, brighter things, I say.
Assuming we don't get eaten by a sea monster on our way to the continent.
I wouldn't worry about that. I travel in style.
I don't know. I seem to have pretty terrible luck on the sea. Flying tentacle monsters. Other various assortments of things coming out of the depths to eat.
Well,
How confident are you in your safe passage?
I always ensure that my deals are successful. I have the utmost confidence that you and your companions will make it to land safe and sound. And I hope long after that. I think that you all are marvelously unique, and I'd love to see what you all do next.
You ever make any deals with the Dark Mistress?
Which one? You'll have to be more specific.
The one whose domain we're currently riding through.
Krot, I suppose. No, I can't say that I have. I've seen her a few times, but never had anything that I desired, and so a partnership wasn't in our cards.
You both seem to be creatures that thrive off deals.
We occasionally patrol each other's turf. Ryga, for instance, but rarely do we find conflict. We have slightly different tastes, you see, and for the most part, we see each other less as rivals and more as part of a vibrant and exciting ecosystem.
Two hunters in a big open forest, then?
Perhaps.
Well, thank you very much for your pretty pink pony. I'll make sure to treasure it.
Please do. And don't be a stranger. She kind of waves once again, makes her way up to the upper decks beside where the wheel is, and kind of directs part of the crew as you continue on throughout the night. As everyone kind of settles into this new ship and this new travel, it moves across the seas, and the lights of the night sky kind of dance and play. Eventually, you all begin to move on towards rest. And over this 3 days of travel, is there anything else that anyone wants to accomplish or do before you make landfall?
Cade would do one thing that night.
Okay.
She'll find kind of a secluded back part of the ship out of the way of everyone else. And she'll kind of have prepared 4 different bowls. One has a little bit of earth in it, one has a little bit of water in it. The other one has a candle with a flame. And then there's another one empty to represent air. And she'll kind of just go through a small druidic ritual, and she'll pull out the piece of parchment that she had before, and on it she had written basically a letter to Tiago, and all the good things that he had done for her and the fond memories that she had. And she'll kind of waft it through the air, put some soil on it, water it, and then burn it. And kind of just give him a fond kind of farewell, and then consume a large bottle of alcohol in true pirate fashion for a fallen comrade.
Upon completing this ritual and kind of finding this spot where you can sit and watch the light of the sky kind of dance across the light of the ocean, there is this bit of peace that comes in being able to perform this for a fallen friend. The night wears on and eventually you find your rest. Any other items to accomplish over the travel?
Clyde would see if Jasira would carve the Pirate King's gem into a tooth so they can jam it up into his jaw.
Into a full-on tooth? Just kind of stick it up in one of the slots?
Yeah.
She's willing to try.
Go ahead and make a check with your jeweler's kit, Jasira.
With the D8.
Glad I asked.
Clyde would 100% give inspiration for this.
Good, because she doesn't have a lot of intelligence, even though she has
Wait 1 second, because Clyde might do another thing. If I'm going to burn
roll
Bardic
to give guidance?
that would be amazing. But I also want to use... Yeah. As soon as you get ready to, Clyde's going to start talking about how the first time he lost a tooth, and he's going to use his Herald of Legend ability to burn another Bardic Inspiration, so you get 2 d8s on this action.
What's up? That's good.
And I'll go ahead and... do you want to bring Roland in to help?
Absolutely. Yeah, Roland's
Okay.
good at surgery on Clyde.
This is gonna work.
Yeah. I will give Jasira guidance and provide assistance for advantage.
Whew. Gonna get
good,
high
okay.
numbers.
I mean, we need a high number. He really wants it.
And also, I hope you appreciate this, because I'm pretty sure that this is the first time all campaign that I've cast guidance on someone besides myself.
I also don't want to hear anything from anybody about Boko's body modifications anymore. Like,
It's just 1, 2. It's fine. It's fine.
you also had your eye ripped out like the second session.
It's the same one that got
the
put back
gateway
in.
drug.
So guidance is what? 1d4?
D4, yep.
Yep, D4.
Beautiful. Sorry, that is a d5. That is not a thing. So yeah, we have 12, we have 23, we have 25.
Nice.
So yeah, it's certainly we'll roll with it. Why not?
Why not? He really wants it.
It's and it's something that's more for your benefit, more so than Clyde's, Jasira, is that you find that magical gemstones in general are difficult to carve. Magical gemstones typically are seen as unalterable, but kind of focusing on it through this time with the attention, you kind of find ways to tune into certain almost frequencies of the magic itself to be able to carve and alter this gemstone and do kind of mold it into a tooth-like shape that Clyde is able to shove up in there, but you have kind of unlocked the beginning of this working with magical elements as well.
Hell yeah.
By the end of this, Clyde will have a full grill.
Finally, we get to do some crafting around here.
I mean, if you want a full grill, we'll work on it.
Any other
And
business?
then-
Yeah.
Yeah. At some point, Roland would go looking for Boko.
Boko would have been working on the last couple pieces of the third iteration of the soul canister and trying to modify. Did you say the dragon bone shield was a tower shield?
No, it's just a large shield.
Oh,
It functions as a normal shield. It's just giant. Like it's big and it's kind of it's not made of metal, and so it's lighter weight for its size, and so it doesn't function quite as a tower shield. It's just an immense, like it's just big.
oh, that's perfect. I don't even have to modify it then. I'll just finish up the soul canister and then see if I could do any reverse engineering on this voodoo doll.
On the voodoo doll?
So,
Which components are organic and if they match anything that I recognize.
Give me an Arcana check. This is what...
Would you accept some kind of tinkering instead?
You're attempting to examine and try and identify the components, or how it works and functions? Or both?
Probably both if I have the time before I make any modifications to it.
Okay, so first kind of trying to analyze and look over the components. I'll allow you an investigation for this first portion.
Nice.
Ooh.
Yeah, so looking it over, it seems fairly basic. It's kind of like a almost potato sack type material of this like thick cloth that has been threaded together into this humanoid shape with these button eyes, and what you can see is this tuft of hair that has been formed on top of the head that does appear to be human hair. And here, go ahead and... I think I actually want... What?
We could probably use this to scry on the person it belongs to, right? Because this is part of the body.
Potentially. It is hairs from some individual. Or
Yeah. Just waiting for, like, in 3 years we meet, like, either the BBEG or, like, one of his minions, and then Cade just goes, "That's the guy I saw when I scried on Boko's voodoo doll."
Yeah. Boko would be sitting here with the voodoo doll set just next to whatever project he's working on. And the first person that shows up to ask him for any help of any kind is getting propositioned with a deal. I will do whatever you want if you help me convince Cade to scry on this doll.
And I already said I went looking for Boko.
But yeah, so it's like this
It's only
canvas
a matter of time.
canvas doll with button eyes. It's got kind of just this flat smile. It's got the tuft of hair, and then it's got a piece of red fabric in this kind of heart shape right on the middle of the chest of the doll.
Poke that a couple times.
Absolutely not. This could be somebody cool. If it's Roland, it's getting poked. If it's Roland, I'm dipping the voodoo dock's socks in water. Wet boots, wet socks, all day, Roland.
Oh no, Roland! What did you do to Boko?
I'm gonna be sitting there with the doll going like this.
What color is the hair?
It's like a brownish, black, kind of a dark brown.
Not Roland then.
Yeah. If I took a lighter to the face, could I make it like Roland?
Oh my gosh!
That's middle.
Ooh.
Oh, that would just
You can
be
certainly
going
try.
there,
A mile.
and your eye starts melting. No, thank you.
Oh gosh.
If the person's within a mile, yes.
You're screaming from the cabin next to us.
No, Boko will be working on the soul canister until the cabin door opens. Roland arrives, and just seeing the door open, he's just going to slide the soul canister away and pull the voodoo doll back.
My project.
Boko, what are you doing?
Whatever you are going to ask will be in exchange for helping me convince Cade to scry on this door. If you are okay with that, you may proceed in speaking. Otherwise,
different
go
deal.
find Clyde.
Hey. I had the doll.
Mhm.
It's a doll.
Yes.
I'm not an expert in scrying, but if you scry on the doll, you will see the doll.
No, you see, this is a voodoo doll of some sort. It is representative of some kind of human. See, look, you can see the hair. It does not belong to the doll.
Oh,
It is,
yes.
Also, I hope me waving the doll at Roland doesn't give the person vertigo. Does anybody around me look like they're unsteady on their feet when I do that?
No.
Okay.
If that were the case, though, it has been in the hold of a ship for goodness knows how long, so this poor person has been permanently seasick.
Oof.
That's how it goes.
Okay. I Do you have a timeline on that? Because I don't think she's very open to doing any more favors for you at the moment.
It depends how empty the bottle of booze she took is from the cabin. If it is very empty, perhaps we will have a better time convincing her.
Wait. We?
Mostly you.
Wait. At what point have I given you the impression that I am good at convincing people?
It is not whether you are good or not. It is simply that when you entered this room, you had the intention of asking me for something. And Clyde has instructed me on how to deal with people and bargain for things that I wish to accomplish. The next step is you sweetening
going
the
to
pot, I think.
Gag that halfling with his own balls.
Clyde sneezes mid-talk to the cook.
Mouthful of whiskey. No.
Sorry. Another rep. Not done yet.
Counter bargain. You showed me something personal about you with the rituals and the spirits.
Yes.
I wanted to share something in return and present a puzzle in front of you.
Take a seat. Gesture to the floor next to him.
Yep. I will sit down matching I assume he's crisscross applesauce.
That's normally what humans do. Boko's more just like a nest of limbs.
One leg straight out, one leg
It's
underneath.
It's like the e-gamers that sit with their knees.
I gotta say, I don't think I've heard of a nest of limbs in the Song of Ice and Fire series.
Yes. His leg is up here, and there are just like roots and vines wrapped around each one of his tools, and he's just like pulling them out to work on things.
It's a little terrifying.
What is it that you wanted to share?
That came out very wrong, but I'm leaving it. You've seen it before. I wanted to ask you about it before doing the thing, but it's this. And he'll morph into Boko, kind of in front of him, and he'll go, I do not know how I am able to do this. And then switch it, and he'll morph into Jasira. and just say, I can't mimic Bree's voice, but you'll say in a fairly perfect imitation of Jasira's voice, but it's just a natural ability that I have. And then switch back into Roland. I was hoping you could help me. I don't know where this comes from. And you know what you're doing when you alter yourself. Maybe you can help me know what I'm doing.
Roland, I have seen you change your face many times. You know what you are doing. You put on the masks to save yourself and to save the people who surround you.
But I don't know where it comes from.
Oh, it is accomplished does not seem important to me. What you are doing with it, it is noble. It is kind.
You know me, though. How is important to me.
This is true, but unfortunately it is not a question I can answer. I may be able to connect you with somebody who can answer, but you already know what must be done for that to occur.
But no.
I do.
Roland, I will be entirely honest with you. When we first met, I did not see myself liking you very much at all, because of how much fear you carry upon your shoulders. But within that fear, there is a curiosity that drives you, that comes through and quenches this fear. And I have found myself enjoying traveling with you. I really look forward to the moment that conflagration is extinguished within you by that curiosity within.
Roland will pull a stone out of his pocket and fidget with it. The stone that had appeared there when he finished the deal with Anne.
Blade bombing.
Fear does me no good. I used to say fear kept me alive. I don't know where we're going. I don't know what we're going to do when we get there. I don't know how I do the things I do. But I do know that for the first time in my life, I have someone who will back me up. Thank you.
It takes many years to understand. I don't even think I fully understand, but it is something that I know. That someday we will all die. That does not mean we will go searching for it, and that does not mean we will go quietly. But this is something that will happen to each and every one of us. Once you come to terms with that, the fear loosens its grip upon you. Should you find yourself facing death, I'm sure you will not let it take you quietly or easily. If I am nearby, I shall not either.
Let's go get Cade drunk.
When you are ready for answers, I cannot promise they will be there. But I can promise I will help.
I don't think I'm ready for that yet. But keep your eye out. For anyone else who can do this, it is not a spell. It does not expire. I can take another's form.
Roland, you say you are not ready yet. But you are a terrible liar. No smile in your direction.
Hey, I'm proficient in deception, okay? I have a +1.
Perhaps we can find Clyde. I'm sure he has smelled out every drop of alcohol on this vessel.
How much alcohol has Clyde gotten from the cook?
Yes.
I mean, well, you can definitely say that Boko saw Cade walk away with an entire bottle by herself. I don't think you need to find more.
Ha! For everyone to drink with.
We've seen Cade drink.
I also don't
Fair.
think that going into it with a bottle of alcohol would be a detriment to our situation. If anything, it would help us.
So do you guys seek out Clyde then before Cade?
Probably. I also have some alchemy tools if we need to infuse some of this booze to make it fancy. Just in case. Do we have any?
Yes, infusion of dwarf.
I talked the cook out of some of his good booze.
There are all sorts of ways to make cocktails and drinks here.
Oh, you didn't keep that part of the dwarf, did you?
Oh,
That wasn't a no.
I mean, in order to cast my Chimera, I have to have at least a pound of organic flesh. So at the moment, I'm like 0.75% dwarf by volume. Just saying.
Oh gosh.
We'll see if that argument gets you into the society.
Well, yes, I will go find Clyde, and if Clyde has found alcohol, do my best to make Cade a very nice mixed drink.
I'm pretty sure Clyde's found alcohol.
Have you ever made a mixed drink before, Boko?
No, but
Oh no.
I am very proficient in alchemy tools.
What
Put
is
a little bit of paralysis potion. A lot.
I have done a lot of
can-
mixing before. I don't imagine it would be hard to infuse a clear alcohol with something.
Using the same
fruity
stir
or-
that he was using in his voodoo experiments.
We can smoke the glass beforehand with the paralysis Febreze bomb.
Which you really fucked up. By the way, alcohol is disinfectant. It cleans itself, Clyde. You know this better than anyone.
Out of curiosity, would I be familiar with mixed drinks just from my particularly?
Any
yes,
of us.
absolutely.
Out of any of us, it's you.
All right, well, I'd probably be working on my suit in case either you decided to ask me,
Roland
or if I overheard anything.
Roland is the, Peaky Blinders style, could have all the money in the world and walk into the same dive bar that he grew up in and just say Irish.
But yeah, Thishal, you would definitely be familiar with drinks. And Boko, you kind of do some experimental things, knowing enough of alcohols and trying to get some infusions, and you mix up some cocktail. Go ahead and roll me a d20 with advantage. So just two of them take the higher.
Ooh, let's see here. Oh.
Okay, yeah. Kind of taking a sip on it. It's strong, sweet, and savory. Kind of gives a nice, warm feeling. And seems to be a solid brew.
Boko's really getting up his will. And then he looks at Roland and goes, "Okay, I think we are ready."
I'm going to take a test sip first.
It tastes really good.
Clyde's taken 2 or 3 during this process.
I'm still tasting it for myself.
More.
Yeah, it tastes like a very solid cocktail.
Right. Taste it. It's actually good.
Why do you sound surprised?
I'm not.
I'm a little surprised.
Is everyone in the same room as I am currently?
Where are you partying, Clyde?
Clyde was in with the cook, so he was in the
kitchen
roll.
or galley.
You all in the kitchen?
At least for this
That doesn't get.
interaction.
Wait, drop the guns. Drop the guns. Yeah, there we go. I'm not surprised.
Son of a bitch. Perhaps we should go find Cade. Look,
yeah.
Don't
If you
barge right in if she wants to be alone. Just saying that. She's been through a lot recently.
this is true.
Yeah, but you already made the drink, so.
Wait, who are you trying to deceive?
That was you with I'm not surprised.
Did you pray to your god before?
No,
you
remove
lied to
the
me?
guidance. I have it auto-checked.
How dare you?
Remove the guidance. It's at 7.
Oh, actually, my passive insight's not bad.
I was trying to burn out a couple of low rolls.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Like you do every combat?
I would flip you off, but yes, that's accurate.
I'm sorry, that was a little brutal.
No, I'm sorry. You want to talk brutal? Your brutal statement for the session that takes the cake is if I hold a lighter to the side of the face, can I make it like Roland?
True facts.
But yeah, I mean, if you go, guys, we'll say it's the same night that Cade did her ritual, so you would find her at the back of the ship, probably just cleaning up.
Yay, we got a present for you. Boko made it up special, and it won't make you blind. Maybe.
Does Cade respond to that?
Cade looks a little startled, out of her thoughts. I'm sorry, what?
Mixed it with some fruit and something I don't really think I'm going to ask, but it's pretty good.
A drink?
Yeah.
Yes, it's an olive branch, if you will, a bartering chip. A favor we have come to ask if you would have us for a moment.
Wait, favor? What? I'm just here for the drinking. Clyde's gonna sit down with his cup.
She kind of looks everyone up.
It's a drink.
Cade will sit down next to Clyde. Tell you what. Tonight we tell stories. It's a tradition whenever we lose one of a crew. We don't have to do it very often, but it's happened before. We drink and we tell fond stories of people that we have loved and lost. So I'll tell you what. You indulge me tonight. We all sit, we drink, we tell stories, and you can ask me for your favor in the morning, okay?
Deal. And Roland will sit down and acquire a drink out of Thin Clyde, and
Boko will
join in.
Take a sip of the drink and pass it along. This fancy cocktail.
With an umbrella. I'm sure prestidigitation can create a small trinket, right? So you could have prestidigitated an umbrella and popped it in there.
Although that probably wasn't Boko's first idea of an item, Clyde would probably correct him.
Yes.
Presentation's everything.
Is there any particular stories that are shared this evening?
Cade will kick it off with she'll tell everyone some fun stories about Tiago and when he was first training her to use a sword, and how every time she held it incorrectly, he would tap her hands with a stick, and so at the end of all the days, her hands would be red and sore, and she hated him for a good long while, and he would just keep calling her little fishy.
Roland, do you share any stories?
Yes, actually. Roland would tell a story about his father. His might in combat. How he cared for his family, even the odd middle child who would rather bury his nose in a book than pick up a sword. And tell the story of how his father had helped him earn his place as a spur. Which would be the first time that he would have vocally admitted to the rest of y'all that where he came from. How he'd found a story of a settlement that was starting up, brought it to his father, and his father had brought it before the kin chief, Bergen. And they'd launched a raid that was effectively led to an extent by him, with his maps, with his knowledge. Then he was presented with the sword that he carries now at his side at the victory feast afterwards.
Clyde will tell the story of how he first lost his first tooth, a drunken brawl with a gnome that would go on to be a decades-long friend. And how it was that fight that led him to being involved with a salvage company that took travels into the Mournlands.
I think Boko would tell a story. He doesn't have any stories of family. He doesn't know anything before the mist. But would tell stories of his interactions with the people that would travel into the Mistlands. The place that he would call home. And the tasks they would bring him. Sometimes they were making poultices, sometimes they were crafting goods, other times they were reaching out to loved ones. And his training, he was supposed to be impartial. He was supposed to be a conduit, but never fancied himself a tool. And it was these interactions with seeming strangers that would eventually draw him out of the Mournlands.
At some point... Oh.
I was going to say, at some point in the course of telling stories, I imagine we would see Jasira wandering the ship and call her over to sit down with us.
Yeah, and I would flag down Thashalt and Sindri and ask if Sindri, if they had any rituals for anyone that died down in the Stone Giants, down in the Underdark.
Yeah, I guess, so Sindri will walk over, seeing the somber mood going on, sit down, and he will talk about his living in the Underdark, where he's had a number of his relatives, or as he refers to everyone in his village as part of his family, whenever they'd be killed by some monster, or the drow, or Durga, or whatever happens to be prowling around at the time, how they would go to Vagan Chanel, the shaman of the town, who mostly raised them, and they would go to the Temple of Stone, where all these elaborate stone structures of such complexity, and when the wind blew through, it would resonate with the stone to make music play throughout the entire temple. And you'd go there and listen to the music, and that would be considered listening to the voices of those that have passed.
And Thashalt and Jasira, as you guys hear these stories, do you guys offer up any of your own?
Can you real quickly roll me 2 rolls and tell me what the results are?
Sure. What do you need?
Can you roll me Tinker's Tools and a Constitution save?
All right.
Oh, God.
Well, Tinker's Tools were 22. Constitution save was a natural 20 for a 27.
Oh, good. Well, good. That determines a couple things in my mind as to how I handle this.
Okay.
So, I guess I'm just going to sit down. I'll probably have a lot of my armor equipped except for the gauntlet that I'm still finishing up on. Just because, I mean, there's no point in towing around all the heavy stuff while we're currently just wandering the ship. and just sit down and clearly, would I have had time to probably mix a drink or two before this?
Yeah.
Okay. So, because I was wondering if, if we're going for the arcane theme, I've got some back alley barkeep type tech I wouldn't mind integrating into this new build.
Okay.
So basically just have a mixer built into the gauntlet that I would be using to mix this new one.
I dig it. I'll allow it.
All right. So I'd step over, sit down, take a sip. I'm sorry I missed part of the conversation. What was this about?
I'm saying farewell to Tiago. It's our tradition for a fallen comrade. I've already performed the first part, but the second part is we drink and we tell fond stories of loved ones that aren't with us anymore.
Ah. He kind of looks over. Not with us as in they've passed fully, or not with us as in that you don't know where they are anymore?
Either counts. It's just our way of remembering the happy times of those people that were in our lives once upon a time.
Right. He takes another sip. Well, I suppose I did have a good friend of mine in the academy. He and I were destined for slightly different paths, though. I'll spare you a lot of the detail, but essentially, I went academia, more so to try and pioneer a lot of my different technologies, and, he's making it as part of the Karnath military at this point. The problem is I barely see him at this point, especially with our divergence in particular interests and my recent travels, I suppose.
So then, if this was an old college friend of yours, got any rowdy college stories from your youth? The shots? Were you a party animal? Any midnight escapades?
As he scratches the back of his head, I suppose so, to a degree. You see, I'm sure that you all probably realize I come from a rather, privileged background by comparison.
No.
So,
Never would have guessed.
he sips his drink again, just
Don't
kind of
worry,
chugging a
we
little
won't
bit.
hold it against you too much.
I'm glad to hear that, I suppose. But yes, I kind of let it get all the way up to my head there. My parents are relatively accomplished merchants. Of course, that already put me in a relatively good social circle. And it means that you get invited to plenty of good parties where you get to socialize more and drink more and figure these kind of things out. It's how I figured out how to, make a pretty decent mixed drink, so if any of you all need anything. So he takes another sip of his, starts to pour another one. I'm your guy.
I'll get a refill. Clyde will hand over half full container.
As Thashal will is actually going to take one of the containers that it usually uses for water storage. I feel like this size would probably be more your speed, huh?
Give him the whole tank.
Hook it up to an IV.
It's the big bottle.
The Clyde fishbowl.
As he starts to do a couple or mixed drink, then he'll continue. So I got myself into plenty of situations where I didn't really know what was going on. He was always there for me, though. Always willing to get me out of those bad situations. Wasn't much of a drinker himself. After all, you got to focus on things like training and keeping yourself, in fit to fight condition. I guess I didn't really think about that as much whenever I was in the whole, tract of to finally finish all the classwork, and in my research, I pretty much doubled down on this kind of experience. Not sure if it was ultimately to take the pain away. Here you go, by the way. As he passes the now finished drink to Clyde.
Ah, perfect.
So the Schultz the party boy. Please tell me, did you have a nickname? It sounds like you had a nickname.
I don't really feel like I did, but I'm sure that people probably said something behind my back.
It was Schultz Shaker.
Schultz Shaker. That's actually pretty good.
Carry out the dance floor.
Damn.
Well, that's canon now. Yes. Schultz Shaker was the only one that seemed to be the one that was said in front of me. Not that that means much now, as he just kind of looks somber and takes a sip of his new drink.
Oh, you don't tear up any dance floors anymore?
No, I managed to just tear up other things, as he mixes his drink a little more before taking another sip and making a slightly different face than the first one, and then adding a little more and starting to stir it again with the mixer. Don't know. It just seems like you all have experienced a lot of things in life.
I mean, some of us are older than others. I would honestly say my life experience is probably pretty skimpy compared to the rest of you. And she's gonna look at Clyde and Jasira.
What you talking about? No.
I seem old. I'm relatively quite young.
Bunch of whippersnappers. None of you were even alive before the Mornlands were the Mornlands. Gosh darn it.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
You know, that actually reminds me a bit. What do you consider somebody who throws away their entire life? Do you consider them dead, or do you consider them to become a new person? Perhaps neither.
All depends on why they did it.
Same person.
And what came from them?
Same person, new skin, huh? Rather interesting terminology. So he takes another sip and kind of nods at it, puts it down, doesn't mess with it anymore.
Roland is going to transform his skin into the Schult, pick up a drink, nod at it, and put it down and look at you.
Alright, I've heard these stories. We're supposed to shoot one of you, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Well, considering that you're looking at the two who actually can shoot.
Doubt.
One.
I don't know, Boko, Roland, that seems debatable.
I can throw a dart, perhaps. That's similar, right?
I mean, if we're aiming at Jasira, the Schult's gonna win.
He goes back to Roland.
Yes, very funny. Yes, the misfires and everything as he takes another big sip. Yes, Roland's gun doesn't work and neither does my steam tech. I get it.
Come now, you're inventing something, right?
I'm certainly trying.
I mean,
You guys...
go ahead.
You guys just seem to have all these fun, lively memories. I don't have them.
Where did your memories go?
Oh, I have them. They're not fun or happy per se. They're all kind of tainted in darkness, much like where I'm from. So I don't... If you want to hear a sad story that tells you about myself, I can. I can tell you about a spooky legend, like a scary story, perhaps. It's not real that I know of, but it's a legend of my people. But
That sounds interesting. Go ahead.
well, we have this thing. It's the Night Eater. It's very pervasive. It's a flesh-eating creature that takes the form of this giant, grim, eyeless thing. So very opposite to those things of many eyes that we saw on the island of the Seventh.
What would happen if we put the two in a room, locked the door, and watched?
That's a great point. Maybe they would share eyes or something.
I'm going to assume the latter in this, but night as in armored or night as in nighttime?
Oh, dark night.
All right.
Not a night eater, but a night eater. So they eat at night.
In the dark of the night.
They tend to be around old temples, cemeteries, abandoned ruins. Something dark, spooky, abandoned. That's kind of their vibe.
That's rather disconcerting.
And they feast on the remains of the dead. It's very fascinating. But they're never satiated, and they're kind of always hungry. So I guess that's kind of why you don't want to be around them.
All seems and I have one thing in common.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like, they can mesmerize people, and the fear you feel is something like no other. It's truly, you have no control of yourself, and they prefer
Wait
to
a moment. Are these legends or pervasive creatures where you're from?
Oh, it's both. It's a legend, but it's a very pervasive legend. They don't like people, so really the only people that know about them are the ones that are eaten. So it's just stories, but...
Ew. Are they stories to keep the good children away from creepy and dark places?
Well, pretty well. I mean, they seek out the wanderers, those that aren't home, or within the safety of the tribe, so I guess it kind of deters anyone leaving.
Yes, I think we have a similar story, but they crawl out of the depths and attempt to drown you.
Sounds like a similar thing.
We also had a similar story, except they were spirits from beyond, who pulled you apart piece by piece until nothing remained.
You lot are a bunch of real fun people, you know that?
Well, it does nothing to deter children unless it's creepy. They're just fables.
Her children's
We
good
also-
strap upside the head.
We also had stories. There's a chain of islands near Stonespur called the Three Sisters. Called them Idavol. They're rumored to be haunted. Dark spirits, undead ghouls, creatures that can absorb the life force from a man with only a touch. I sailed past them on my way to the continent for the first time.
Sindri, what about you? What's the boogeyman of the Underdark?
Isn't it just the Underdark?
No, he has told us many times it is simply the ocean.
The scariest Underdark.
I don't know. We don't really have boogeymen. It's more of everything scary.
Oh, so just reality.
Yeah, that's I think that checks out.
I thought you said the Underdark was a nice place to go. Why
I
would
think
it
you
be
lied to
scary?
us.
Oh.
No, it is. We just don't, we have plenty of scary stuff that exists. Like creatures that hide in shadows and will jump out of your shadow and strangle you to death. That's a thing. So, like,
And
don't
how
think we
long
have
were you
any-
going to wait till you told us this?
I I mean, do you not have that?
Not usually. No.
Not to my knowledge.
Oh. Well.
And
Interesting.
And at this point, there's a voice from kind of the shadows nearby as Greta kind of speaks up for the first time in a while. Back where I grew up, we always thought that the guardian of the forest was just something that was going to eat you if you got too far into the woods. So, I mean, that ended up being real, but it wasn't as bad as it seemed like it was.
It certainly tried to.
You know, I come from a place where the mist is said to have swallowed the souls of countless people, and since it has come, I have no memories of what has happened before, but it seems like it is the safest place out of all of the ones I have heard so far.
Bullshit, Clyde says.
You don't think that means it swallowed your soul, does it?
I cannot be sure.
Wait, you come from inside the mist.
Yes, I have said this.
Really don't make any sense. Well, looking at you and getting to know you, it makes more sense.
What is that supposed to mean? I don't understand.
Means the Mornland's a fucked up place and takes a certain type to survive.
This is...
Boko, according to everything, that should be nearly impossible.
So should harnessing water and putting it into a pack on yourself, as you clearly have demonstrated.
Really? All your technical developments and you're impressed by me putting water through a heater?
And also some sort of scope that Roland has assembled upon his rifle that can read the thoughts of other people.
It's a
Or
simple
perhaps,
enchantment of a...
or perhaps the elf that sits upon us that can take people's souls and craft them into jewelry.
Yeah, no, that was a bit odd.
I suppose there is quite a few oddities. You are right. This is just the newest in the long, ever-growing list.
What about the person who was literally born from a storm?
This is true.
Jade kind of opens her mouth. You know, I'm still coming to terms with that one, so I'm going to let that one slide.
Plenty of interesting things.
Yes, we have seen Cade pull stars directly from the heavens themselves and throw them at people.
Also true.
I did not see my adventure going this way. But,
I don't think any of us did.
I mean, really, who could have predicted a flying tentacle monster?
Yeah, the sky hentai was out of the blue.
Well, I will say from now on, it's going to be on my list of things that may happen.
Tentacles from the sky.
I am with
And
Sindri
in your
on this
eye.
one. I am with Sindri on this one. You see, I was unfamiliar with the customs of the people outside of the mists. I did not know if that was something normal or not.
No, absolutely not, under no circumstances.
And I apologize for fixing on this so much, Boko, but considering you came from the mist, do you know how you survived?
I am still trying to figure out if that statement is accurate, actually.
Damn it. So you don't know anything that might be of help in case anybody was sent in there?
No, unfortunately. There were many people that were lost. Many people that stumbled upon my shack.
And many people yet to come, as he finishes his drink.
So, I don't. What is this place like? Clyde, you said you've been there, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, Boko, you lived there.
I didn't live there. I just traveled through.
Well, Boko lived there, you traveled.
Wait, how did you survive?
Well, if you was listen to the story before you came out, most of us didn't.
I've only
Right.
read stories. Myths that corrode the flesh and eat the soul. Pull it straight from your body and consume it. Leave you a walking husk of what you were.
Yeah,
What?
that ain't bad. The weave itself is wonky there.
And if that
What do
doesn't
you
do
mean?
it,
Magics just do magics there, without the need of somebody to do the magics.
God forbid, I'm sure if you stumbled out half assembled, that Karnath's elites would manage to get you.
What was that, Noah?
Sorry, I said, God forbid if you did manage to stumble out there and barely survive, I'm sure that the Karnath elites would probably finish the job and turn you into one of theirs.
What do you mean?
Well, turns out it's very useful when every member of your army can be utilized twice.
That's pretty cool. How do you do that?
Well, once is voluntary.
Twice is contractual.
So
Unfortunately.
after people volunteer, then they're conscripted?
In a way, I suppose. Their previous contract does end first, though.
Why does anyone volunteer then?
Loyalty, patriotism, honor, etc. I'm not saying that I dislike Karnath. I actually quite enjoy things like the marketplace, but there's just certain things I wish that some people weren't involved in. You were talking earlier, Roland. Something about same person, different skin.
Something I'm familiar with, yes.
I'm still trying to figure out what they call a man who threw away a perfectly good, cushy life for something else.
A human being?
Something like that. Maybe a fool.
Someone who wants to
Maybe
make
something.
his own way in the world. Not have it handed to him.
Someone who maybe got too many ideas in their head because of their particularly blind-sighted life.
There's no such
Who got
thing
one
as
up-
having too many ideas in your head. There is such a thing as not letting enough of them out.
All I know is that I could have spent my life being a successful merchant under my parents. And instead,
You're here
I
with
decided
us.
to step out in the street and play a hero. And it seems I never left that path now.
And now you're here
I
with
mean,
us.
not the worst thing you could have played at.
Oh, it would certainly help if any of my things that I'm trying to build towards that whole ordeal worked. But I suppose you're right.
I mean, is your technology perfect? No, but I mean, we've seen progress already. I'll admit, I'm not so familiar with the mechanized world. I just harness what's the nature around me, but I'm actually fairly impressed with the mechanized suit. And I mean, really, I don't blame your suit for the mishaps on aim. That happens to everyone sometimes.
Thank you.
Boko looks at the shout and he'll say, if it makes you feel any better, you just recently saw me return to you, similar in shape to a pile of cooked spaghetti. These things, although I have worked on them for many years, still are unpredictable.
See, and I figured perhaps that was a little bit more normal from where you came from. So don't go feeling bad about not knowing anything about our world.
It is interesting up here, for sure.
Well,
And besides, Bashal, you're not the first person that's walked away from money for something else in their life. I, in fact, met a fascinating pirate that claims to have been some kind of baron or something, and then he just got really, really tired of it, and there was something about an arranged marriage that he was running away from. And look at him, happy pirates now. Like, you could do a lot less than trying to, like, do some good in the world.
I guess at a certain point I just discovered that no amount of money would be able to actually do what I needed, or do what I wanted to do.
What?
I mean, that sounds like a very valid point.
Here's hoping this new iteration works better. As he just clicks in a couple things into place on the gauntlet, you see as there seems to be a small device attached to the side of it.
Are you going to show us what he does?
Jasira ducks.
I was just going to say Clyde scoots away from Jasira just a little bit.
I'm going to drop a tea bag in my empty glass and hold it in front of Jasira's face.
I decided to go with a different approach on this one. As he clicks a couple buttons on the gauntlet, you see as the device spins twice, and you see as an aquatic blade deploys from it.
Ooh.
This ought to do enough damage to where it actually is effective. It'll be better at close range, and, well, it won't fly as wildly as the shots.
This is
That's
interesting.
fun. Cade is gonna, like, use shape water, and she's gonna, like, what? Oh, okay, what kind of blade does it look like?
So it's basically kind of like a pressurized hydro blade.
Okay. Cade's gonna, like, shape your blade and just gonna put, like, a little heart on the end. So you can
You see
kill
the
people
water
with
continues
kindness.
to flow up there.
So she circumcised it.
Makes for a very interesting shape of this. I didn't even think about changing the shape of the blade. I'll have to think about that.
Austin, I'm sorry about the stream. That's now on the internet.
It is what it is.
As if saying a hentai every single episode was an argument against kids.
For real.
Yeah. All I know is that I'm sure that this would be much more unbearable without you all. Well, yeah. I don't know if I would have quite made it this far without it. After all, once you've drank enough, I don't have Clyde's constitution. I probably would have already been down.
Without you all, I suppose I would not have had to deal with all of the monsters attacking us. Which may have been a little bit easier, but it definitely had.
Oh, I mean, same. We really didn't get monster problems in the city. After all, I could have just sat in the back of the workshop working on different devices to make people's lives a little easier.
And then
Without
one day,
the-
you walk through the door of the Temple of Artifice.
Well,
Looking at Boko. With a smile.
Yes, it took a lot to draw me out of the mist. I'm still trying to find my place in this world, but I do not regret coming out. It seems that the people that needed help and would come to me within the mists. Seems like there are much more of them outside it.
Boko, I have some good news for you.
I am afraid.
I found your place in the world outside the mist. It's here. With us.
Does this mean you are not going to gut me and throw me over the edge of the ship?
No, that's still up for debate.
Generally, that doesn't
Seriously.
happen unprovoked.
Fair enough.
I don't recommend touching Boko. The last one that touched him died.
That is because you
That's
punched
fair.
him into a fine pink mist.
Because he was hurting you.
And then you
I
carved
found
him
that
into a finer pink mist.
As we throw the last bit of them overboard. Speaking of, it has been half an hour.
Half a day. Yeah, he's gone. It's canon now. No more body.
We've just been leaving a breadcrumb trail, or sorry, a dwarf crumb trail for the next sea monster to come and attack.
Exactly.
us.
This is why we're going to get attacked by the next sea hentai, is because of this dwarf.
I will say this has added much more complication to my life than how to cure my hangover and then how to find the next iteration of either my research or, well, wherever I was going to spend the night, I suppose.
FYI, magic is the best way to cure a hangover.
Yes, I
Drinking.
found that with slightly more magic to it than,
No, you
it
just
actually
keep
been quite
drinking.
interesting.
No hangover.
Well,
I mean, that's the other way. But if you have to stop drinking, the best way to cure it is magic.
I found the mid-thesis, that wasn't exactly an option in the latter.
Regardless. And Roland will raise his glass. To all our lives being more complicated.
Clyde will raise his tank off of the Schultz.
All right, to that.
I'd like to think it's still attached to the shawl as he just goes.
Oh no, I've detached it from the thing and just removed the top part to turn it into a glass, a big jug.
Now,
When we reach land, are we staying together?
Also, I certainly don't see why not. I've got things that I need to deal with, but I'm sure that it'd be much easier to face together than me trying to go there alone. Didn't work as well the first time.
we do have
I-
business in Carlacton to finish.
And I think Sindri and I are gonna need a decent guide that knows their way around the continent.
Yes,
Hello.
and not the water.
I've crossed the continent, from the principalities to Carlacton. I'll help you.
Aside from Tove, I have no particular goals rather than to go to Boko's home at his request.
And probably not go back to tilling fields as indentured servitude.
Preferably not.
Then we'll help you.
And we can stop by this plantation and burn it to the ground, if you wish.
Cade's gonna look over at Roland.
Roland is already looking over at Cade.
We're burning
It'll
things in
stir
the
up some
ground.
shit, but I'm sure it'll be great.
But I think there is something going on here. If what you said is true, Jasira, and the factory we were in is creating humans or machines or some combination of the two, I cannot find a reason that this man I know, the one that breathes dragon fire, I think he is involved.
Seems like they're all involved somehow.
Roland, you said you know of libraries along the way.
I mean, you should say that.
Oh, libraries.
Sure, you're probably the most likely to have heard of this one. Have you heard of the hidden library of Balmar?
I feel like I probably would if it was within Karnath, at least.
It is not within Karnath, and
Right.
the name doesn't spark anything within your memory. Clyde, if you want to roll me a history check as well, you can.
Yeah.
I guess I'll just scratch my chin. Funny enough, I can't say that I have. It's not within Karnath proper, is it? Or even in the outer areas?
It is not. It's on the island we just left.
Ah, okay.
With the factory run by supposedly the man who breathes dragonfire.
Ah, okay.
And he'll pull an object out of his pocket. I have a key.
Libraries have keys?
This one does.
Why wouldn't they?
Well, he said it was hidden.
I mean, but like a key? That seems very. A key
Is it a
for
magical
what?
library?
Well, the building has to be locked, otherwise you could just steal stuff out of it.
A key to let you in. A key to say that you are one of a select few allowed access. This is not an ordinary library.
And Clyde, the name kind of rings bells. It probably has appeared in a bardic tune or a poem or something like that. You've heard the name. You don't know much more about it other than it's a hidden library.
Okay. Fancy hidden library that Roland might know some way to get to. Alright, Clyde is suitably impressed with you, Roland.
I would certainly be interested in what they might have in there, after all. I mean, we were talking about different things that seemed impossible before we had seen each other do them. Perhaps there's people that put works into the library that will do the same for all of us.
Where did the key come from?
My brother's pocket.
Ah,
Hmm.
is your brother affiliated with this man who breathes dragonfire?
My brother is affiliated with anyone who you think in the moment can gain him more power.
I knew people like that before at the academy. As he takes a sip.
It was on the ship with all the other significant figures.
The man with the golden hand, yes. The woman with him. My sister, Thora.
Mm-hmm.
I promised her I'd find a better way.
So we will.
You know, I'm starting to. It might be the booze, but I'm starting to think that there's like a secret club of evil people, and they just all know each other and have like club meetings.
See, I don't
How
think
about
you're
we make
wrong.
a secret club of counter-evil people? Not necessarily good. Not many people in here are strictly good, but counter-evil. We can have our own secret meetings and our own secret name.
It
Well, it
depends on
seems
the
like-
scope. Oh, go ahead.
We're all tied to them. These people. The Gilded
Better
Man,
to-
the Incubus, Blade Mommy, and whatever you want to call her.
That's the first time.
I love that it's like, and we just call her that.
Everybody chokes on their drink.
Does Anne hear that and just walking?
We hear a sneeze across the ship.
Yeah.
The eyebrow, Anne's eyebrow just goes off the forehead.
I'm just picturing Captain Hook and
Up
like
the
just
horn.
the animated Peter Pan just. Anyway. But they're all connected. The Gilded Man knows it's one big thing. I don't think you're that off, Cade.
Jasira, what's the structure of your home, if you don't mind me asking, political-wise? Like, do you have leadership? Do you have different layers?
Are you referring to Mabar or the plantation estate?
Whatever you feel like you're more affiliated with. You know, reporting structures and whatnot.
Well, Mabar has 13 or so elven tribes. We all have our strengths and weaknesses. Mine is far more cunning, and we're pretty strategic. Hard to say looking at me, I know, but...
Yes, takes all kinds.
And then there's Toves. They have a matriarch. They assigned marriages. She didn't want none of that.
I see.
The far highly intelligent. There's the more mechanical inclined. There's the fucking Lothanar. Like, they just think they're better than everyone else. I'm sure you know those kind of people too.
Oh, I'm fully aware of an entire swath of people like that.
And believe it or not.
The beach, right?
Yes, that one. What was her name?
Question. Anya. Fuck that bitch.
All it sounds like to me is that your structure goes, let's see, it was only the matriarch and then every level below her was equal, correct?
So, it depends on which tribe you're in. In my specific tribe, you have it's all based on the souls you absorb. And if you want to get into some really freaky shit, there's a reason, because basically, beyond a certain point, all siblings of a pair, of a couple, I suppose, end up dueling it out, and one of them absorbs the rest of them. So you basically are making super people. And
so merit-based society that continues to steamroll based on how many souls you have?
And, for instance, if you wish to call them much, they don't think highly of me. My maternal grandparents are in that head council. The, most absorbed, as it were.
So now we get to the more wrinkles in the political game. Head council.
The biggest sponge wins.
Doesn't that kind of, I don't know, narrow the gene pool?
There's enough of us, I suppose.
All I'm saying, Jasira, is that I'm sure that your people hopefully are a little more straightforward than a lot of the folk around the Karnath area. I'm afraid there's plenty of lines that go much deeper than many people ever get to see that connect folk together.
That's fair. If it makes you feel better, there's actually a group. They are far creepier than I am. They actually deal with necromancy. I don't raise the dead. That's not my job. I just keep them dead.
That's good.
For sure. This talk of lines running deeper than you've seen. How much time have you spent on the streets?
Me?
Yes, and
I'm afraid
the Schultz standing behind you.
No, sorry, you got cut off. But as far as street time goes, not terribly much, but I know you see plenty of lines from the streets, but turns out it's a very easy view from a high tower as well to be able to see certain lines. Though I won't see any of the ones in the streets. You get to see where all of them connect up to when you're that high up.
I have a journey to take you on.
And I to you?
No, thank you.
Ew.
Fair enough.
Get a room!
Roland.
It comes with good drinks. I'm just saying.
I'm listening.
We'll get you an
I didn't think you
audience.
swung that way.
He went to an orgy with Clyde, and now he's curious.
I'm talking about elaborate parties of the higher-ups? What in the world do you think I'm talking about? You all clearly don't understand the
I
Karnap
managed to
higher-up.
remain unseen at an orgy. I'm sure I can go unseen at any of your parties.
You all clearly have some misconception of what these parties are for.
Would you like to elaborate?
It's mostly for, well, a lot of political exchange. Every one of these parties, for at least the very high up, all of the ones that are involving council members, tend to involve at least a deal or two at the cornerstone of it. Things change hands, armies are created, or possibly destroyed, alliances are formed or broken, and at the end of it, then the whole political landscape could be changed. And if you're not keeping up, then suddenly you insult one person, and it turns out that there were 3 others that had allied with them since the last week's partyscape.
So it's all
Sounds
about
horrible.
handshakes.
Yes, it's constantly changing up. It seems like, at least for the streets, there seems to be a little more loyalty involved. I know that's shocking.
I don't know if I would say that.
It seems like there's more loyalty because the people who are disloyal end up dead, not with new allies.
Yeah, it turns out that taking out high-level rivals isn't near as... Oh. I suppose, what did you call it? Sometimes your jobs are a little easy? Turns out if a baron gets killed, it's much more of a big deal.
Depends on who kills him.
Also fair. Although I personally don't subscribe to the whole idea that one life is worth more than another, that's not exactly the views of a lot of them that attend these little shindigs.
Roland just smiles.
Roland, I do have to warn you of something. If you return to the Regalport, I don't think I would be able to stop myself from traveling back down to that factory.
I know.
I don't know what it is, but there is something that tells me that people are suffering down there.
I know.
We can be better equipped to help them next time.
And we know at least a little bit more about what they can do to us. I do not think the Crimson Blade and the Medicine Man are coincidental in this.
I do not either. But I think we need more information, more experience before we take them on.
Our own ship, perhaps.
Perhaps.
I think what you said is best, Roland. The seas aren't safe right now, and I need my feet on solid land for a bit. Which, jeez Louise, stars above, I never thought I would ever say that.
It's a shock. The first time you realize it.
I don't know, remind me of this conversation again when the air is dry and the sun is beating down on me and there's no water. Remind me that I said this.
Can do.
Not going out on the Talenta Plains. We're going to be in a city.
As long as we have the shelter around, there should always be water for you.
Roland, she gave us a free. I told you.
Also true.
As long as you don't mind it being shot into your face.
What? I don't have to shoot it into her I can just create it.
I mean, Boko Cade looks at you, flicks her hair in your general direction, and you get sprayed by water. Water to the face really isn't a thing for me. It's just my face.
Interesting.
As you all continue to share stories and plans, preparing for landfall, eventually, after a few days, the shore does come into view. And that's where we'll go ahead and wrap up this session, and where we'll pick up in 2 weeks as you all begin your journey across. We'll wrap up real quickly with another of our expositions here.
The time is upon us. There is no space for doubt, to lose conviction. And yet the words of Zaratai were left hanging in my mind.
I have seen the end of all things, Tacita. Horrific legions of hybrid, raising world upon world. In the darkness, lording over them, a shadowy figure, the masked Lord of Night, Veyron. This vision was a benevolent one, however, as if an ancient voice called out from beyond, saying, "The keystone shall usher you into hope."
The words must be put aside. The time of reclamation is upon us.
Thank you so much for tuning in this evening, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Tune in then.